Have you got a beer?
No, I've got a coffee decaf
Coffee
in
decaf.
my 1,000 meter peaks
Oh yeah,
race cup. Yeah, yeah.
nice one.
It is
Yeah,
decaf though at
it's,
this time on.
yeah, it's 9 p.m. for everybody watching and listening. So behind the scenes. So
Yeah, so
welcome to the Ultra Running Sound podcast with a difference. So I thought that obviously Ben's a friend of the show. Everybody knows Ben. He gets mentioned on pretty much every single podcast that I do. It,
I'm piggybacking off your fame, aren't I? I'm piggybacking off your fame. You've been carrying
someone's,
me around for
someone's got to make the most of it. Um, so I thought in between all of the big interviews with all the top ultras and ultra runners from around the world, that we'd throw in some chit chat about races and some general bits of stuff to do with fell running. So I thought this item could be called Hell's Bells. It's Ben Wells runs fells. It seems to be a bit of a mouthful. So
Yeah, and I couldn't say that without messing it up. So Ben runs the fells.
Ben Fells Wells. Yeah. So it's a more relaxed, low key episode. I'm about to crack cider. This is like a crack a brew with AJW. This is. Have you seen
Wow.
that? Have you heard of that podcast?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay.
I'm just thinking
So
you were training. I thought you was on no alcohol, but you're on zero Guinness and
yeah.
zero.
No, I did that for about 6 months. I'm back on the alcohol now, so back on the
Yeah,
train.
that's it.
Back on the Aldi special side.
That's it. That's what my wife drinks.
You're saying it's a girl's drink. What are you saying?
I'm not saying anything. It's part of your one a day, isn't it? It's your fruit. So
That's it. Yeah, apple one a day.
HM. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, I'll
I
go with
knew
that.
an old fell running friend actually. He swore by 2 pints of cider and a meat pie. He was a northerner, and it did him well. So
Before, before or after a race?
I don't know. I think it was before and after knowing it. Yeah, but a different generation, eh? Different generation.
Oh, no.
Before Strava, before Garmin, Casio watch, and Walshies, and Ron Hill vest, and Ron Hill shorts.
Yeah, that you never washed. The short Ron Hill shorts that you never washed.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Different time. But did any of those foul races actually happen? Because before Strava, did anything actually happen?
Wow,
Was it real?
that's a good question. Good question. If it's not on Strava, it hasn't happened. So perhaps, yeah, maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't
Maybe not. Maybe it's all
happen.
fictitious. Maybe it's all been made up. Right. So to give you a bit of I'll give you a bit of an introduction then. Normally I'll say to guests, as you know well, give us a brief running history and go back as far as you like, all that gubbins. But basically, all people need to know is that you're a Yorkshireman, dual heritage, Yorkshireman
Yeah.
living in Wales. Do you consider yourself Welsh or a Yorkshireman?
Um, Difficult that really. I suppose, yeah, my family moved down in the 70s, and then my mum and dad moved down to mid Wales in sort of the late 80s. So I was a little lad, really, imported. Um, so I guess home is Wales. It's where I was brought up as a little kid and went to school. I have got some faint memories of Yorkshire, Wakefield, that area,
Mm.
and some of my family is still there. So I guess, yeah, I half and half, I would say, Hannah to Hannah. So yeah, um,
Oh,
yeah,
well.
I support Leeds United and I support Wales football. So I'm subject myself to a life of misery when it comes to football.
On both fronts. Awesome. Right, so we need to get your your expertise in fell running. So the podcast has mainly been, ultra focused. So, longer ultras, you know, obviously I bang on about the spine all the time and Western States and any of the big ultras in the UK and international people that I can get on the podcast and stuff. But I've never really done a lot about UK fell running. And I know that, you're big into your fell running. That's your area of expertise. You are an expert descender, as I've found out a few times on runs we've done and races we've done, where you just left me for dust, hammering down those hills in all conditions. So I thought the audience would benefit from your expertise. And so what I did was I put a little post out. So if anyone listening or watching the podcast, if you don't follow my Instagram page, basically I put out a post just saying, throw me some questions to give to Ben about UK fell running. So there was a few people that got in touch and sent out some questions. So you've had some pre-warning on these questions, haven't you? I sent them to you. I might throw you a curveball here and there though.
No, thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. But I've got a. There is a disclaimer. I mean, you've put me on a pedestal there. I am a mid packer in the fell running world, so you think I'm an expert defender. I've seen some fantastic guys. Controlled falling, I call it. So
Disengaged brain.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm no expert, but I'll share my knowledge as best I can. Enough people have helped me over the years, so I can pass it on, can I?
Okay. So firstly, I just wanted you to so for anyone that's listening who hasn't got a clue what a fell race is, can you sort of give a brief history or brief sort of overview of what UK fell running is like, what it's all about, before we dive into those questions that we've got specific questions?
Yeah, I guess well, fell running. Yeah, it's a heritage. I mean, you're starting back many years ago, probably hundreds of years ago, where farmers, perhaps in Lake District, Yorkshire, Scotland, would pay for guides in the sense of to go and round up their sheep or the fastest hillmen. And then I guess it came on from there. Fells, I guess, comes from the Lake District. It's not a Welsh thing or a Scottish thing. But yeah, I mean, you go to the Lake District in Yorkshire, fell running is a religion there. So fell running, how would I describe it? It's running the mountains. It's a British thing. It's racing in the mountains. So fell racing can be as short as a couple of miles, straight up and down, or some of the classic fell races, like say the Welsh 1000s, it's 20 odd miles. Some of the big horseshoes in the Lake District, Dale, those, and yeah, it's steeped in history, and I think that's what I really love about it. Usually, how could I describe a typical fell race? A village may put it on, maybe a village fete. I've been going for many years. You pay your £5. There's no medal. There's no T-shirt. There's no goodie bag. There's no big elaborate celebrations. You do your race. It's hard racing. Nowhere to hide. And when you finish, you're probably presented with a soup and a roll, and dress your wounds up. So yeah, I mean, the history of fell running, yeah, there's so much to it, but that's it briefly. It's definitely a British thing, in the British racing in the British mountains.
So it possibly came from the farming background of sending people out to round up sheep then. So was that before the invention of the sheepdog then?
I guess the dogs would have worked with them, but you'll need men on the hills, don't you? Guides, they were called. But yeah,
is it true there was also like sort of competitions as well? Just like that's how they started, as just like people say, like rivalry between people. Like, I can get to the top of the hill and back again before you can, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely, and even betting. It was big business on betting. who had the best guys, a lot of money involved. And then, of course, you had the professional and amateurs, and then that's another story. But yeah, definitely was a big scene back in, you're looking probably just after the war, just before the First World War.
Yeah.
So it
So
goes back many years.
yeah, there's a big history of fell running in the UK. Yeah, so
Yeah, definitely.
I know it's respected worldwide, isn't it, as being a very niche. I mean, running's full of niches anyway, isn't it? It's just another one of those niches that people become obsessed with. Do you think that do you think there's place for people who run traditional ultras, sort of the 50Ks, 50 miles, 100 miles? Do you think they should be doing short fell races as well to sort of keep themselves sharp?
That's an interesting subject. Yeah, I was talking to someone actually recently about that. I think traditionally, like with ultra running, you do these big back-to-back days. It's all about plodding, obviously nutrition, looking after yourself. But I like, I listened to a podcast with Jack Scott. He's been on your podcast as well, and I just like his mentality. He's doing these 400s, he's doing track stuff, he's doing these reps, and if he's doing the spine and coming second, uh, then yeah. So why? And I know he does a lot of short fell races as well to keep the top end up there. Fitness at the end of the day trumps a lot of things, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So, and the fun as well. You're only in pain for half an hour, not
days.
not 6 days. If it's a short race. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the ultra runners have done fell racing, haven't they?
Mm.
Um, and what is it determined by length? So, is an ultra a fell race? That's a question. If it's in the mountains, if it's on the fells.
What constitutes? Yeah.
Yeah,
Go on then. We'll dive into some of these questions then.
cool. Yeah,
Uh, Thomas Trotter. So he's an American import who I met on the Leicestershire Round. He goes by the name Teach Run Trots on Instagram. So his question was, which are fairer or better established paths or direct lines if you're a confident navigator?
good question.
Referring to like trods, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. Because
all
you can
depends.
take your own line, can't you, in a fell race?
Yeah, you obviously in a fell race you might have certain checkpoints you've got to hit, but how you get from checkpoint to checkpoint, yeah, is up to you. So it's a good question, and I think the answer is it depends. Depends on the race.
Mm.
How can I?
I suppose some because I was just thinking when I went up on the Edale skyline the first time Andy took me up there
Yeah,
many years ago now, and we were talking about the Edale skyline race and stuff, and he was saying how a bit of local knowledge with that race is valuable because of the areas where you can be sort of dodging through there's got all those that boulder field and everything where and knowing the lines gives you like a great advantage. So is that a fair comment then that if you know the area and you've up there regularly on that route, you've got a more of an advantage because you can pick out a
yeah,
better route. And is that fair? Well, I suppose it's a home
yeah.
advantage, isn't it?
It is. If you know your route well, you know the race well, you may get in touch with the locals and chew their ear off to reach out to them on whatever means and ask them. I just thinking, okay, you've got the direct line, and it perhaps comes back to my mountain leader days. Okay, you've got a lovely line from A to B, but it's across trossachs, bogs. The ground's gonna just sap your energy. It's a lot shorter, but by going round the man-made path that might be put in by National Trust or whatever, it's a good solid path. Yeah, it may be longer, but you may be quicker over it. You may be using less energy.
Mm.
Is it winter? Is it summer? If you're in summer, that trod might be bone dry, in winter. No. So there's a couple of examples I can think on just on the Cadder race here in Dolgellau. You get to the foot of the zigzags. People might know the race route. You can either go straight up or you can take the zigzags, which is, I guess, the man-made line. So going up, you're using a lot less energy by just taking the zigzags. But then coming down, you can just come straight down. Momentum's taking you, gravity's taking you down. So that's one example. Another example up there where the path can split, and again, you can take a direct line, and it looks quicker. But I've tried both, and the man-made path's quickest, in my opinion. Depends what type of runner you're at. What are you more comfortable on? Are you going to be worrying about navigation? Am I offline? Am I going to hit the bearing? Is it foggy? I can't quite see. Then yeah, I'm going to be better on the path. At least I know I'm on the path, and I'm not going to hemorrhage time if I get lost. But yeah, there's so many variables, and I think this is where people can geek out on a race. Get the map out, get onto Strava, have a look at the heat maps, have a look at someone else's GPS. Where are they going? Have a look at the winner. What line did he take? All those things. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way. There's traditionally the fell runners line, isn't there? You can cut off corners, yeah, but the shortest way is not always the longest. Actually, the Ben Nevis race this year was a good example. It's just come to me. So again, if people know the Ben Nevis mountain track, not the tourist track, the mountain track. So you go up from the Glen Nevis Inn, and traditionally it would cut off, and you would take a shortcut round to Redburn, and that was always the line. But because of the erosion, because of the environmental impacts on that particular shortcut, shall we say, it was said that we wasn't going to be used anymore to keep the race on, and the future of the race, that the fell runners would have to stick to the path. And I was thinking, oh wow, that's a big extra mileage. It's about a mile extra on the race. But that shortcut is quite boggy. It's muddy. It's on a slant. Footing's not good. Whereas the path, it's you can imagine it's quite groomed at that stage on Ben Nevis. So even though it was a mile longer, I don't think it had that much of a time difference because the terrain was so runnable. You can run on the way down some good speed. So in answer to the question, depends on the route, depends on the weather, depends on your abilities, and geek out. Yeah, I'm bad for geeking out or planning real to detail. Okay, like I say, I'm in the mid pack, but it might be the difference coming 97th instead of 101. So yeah, why not? But I know that's probably a long-winded answer, but it depends on the route, weather, other factors.
Yeah, I suppose you put in there the sort of caveat that if you're a confident navigator, because I suppose if you're a newbie, probably the best thing to do is to just follow somebody else.
There is that. Yeah, it depends who you're following, though. Do you know who you're following? How do you know? What's their knowledge like? Are they an all singing, dancing mountain leader, MIC veteran fell runner, or is it their first ever outing? And yeah, so yeah, I would always say be confident in your own abilities, especially in the mountains.
Okay. Do your research, do some recce's.
Definitely, yeah.
Follow somebody off the cliff. Right. Okay. Next question then. Colin Lee on Instagram, the trail running dude. He says, how can people who don't live in the areas with fells get involved? He's put in brackets, I live too far away to travel regularly. So if you don't live in an area with fell running, what's the best thing to do?
Okay, so is he talking about training or just getting involved, maybe?
Yeah, it's not really said.
Yeah, interesting question. So
Hopefully, just go, just got to go, aren't you? And travel. You're just gonna have to travel, I suppose.
yeah, I got lots of friends that live in the flatlands, shall we say. Um, One is a friend of ours, actually, Andy. He lives in Market Harbour, doesn't he? So he hasn't got any big fells there to run. But years ago, he would come down to Wales and he'd smash me on the fells. Or, it'd be a mountain race. Oh, what's going on? I live in the mountains. I'm in the mountains all the time. He's coming down from Leicestershire, where it's as flat as a pancake,
Mm.
and he's smashing me. And it was simple. It boiled down to fitness. So he was doing his reps. He was doing hill reps on. I don't know. He'd probably done about 10 miles, and you can see he's got 1,000 feet of ascent. As you know, you can do that in a half a mile here. But still, he was making the best of what he had. And again, it boils down to that that VO2, if you like, or that top end fitness. And I think that's why a lot of marathon runners, good marathon runners, can turn up at some of the fell races and do really well because they are fit. There's no way getting away from it. And I think looking back to that time, I was strong and I was confident in the mountains, and perhaps on real technical ground, I could catch him and I'd be quicker because of obviously just conditioning and familiarity. But his fitness was the key, even to running in some of the higher mountains. So yeah, but getting involved in it, perhaps people have never really sort of ran in the mountains, and they fancy doing it, seeing people running it, and who doesn't want to run in the mountains and give it a go? I would get on holiday, whether it's North Wales, Lake District, or wherever it may be. And I know a lot of people sometimes will get requests, people coming on holiday here, people on Facebook, the Mary Honest Running Club, and say, I'm down next week. Would anybody be willing to show me how to run Cadair Idris or some of the other local hills here? So that would be, and I know people have done that in the Lake District. I know a friend of mine got in touch with Ambleside and just joined one of their club runs. So you're in amongst people that are familiar with the mountains. So that'd be a good way. If you're not confident, I mean, yeah, the mountains of Britain are not to be feared, but they are definitely to be respected. And people are still losing their lives in the mountains, sadly. I am a mountain rescue team volunteer, so yeah, we've just been touching on that subject very recently. So yeah, I'd never discourage people to not go in the mountains. Yeah, maybe getting involved with some of the local clubs, and that's the great thing about fell running and ultra running and the running community, isn't it? Anyone asks us for help or advice, we take it on, don't we? We love taking people on our favorite route, even if it's a flat trail run or on a track or whatever. We love it. So that might be a good idea if people want to get involved in fell running the trails, or just be selective. You don't have to hit the peak. You don't have to go to the top of Snowdon. You booked your holiday, coming down, and on that day I'm going to the top of Snowdon. Weather forecast for 80-mile-an-hour winds and rain. Well, you can have a run around Clanberis, or do some of the terrain. So there's always something that can just whet people's appetite for the fells. But so that would be my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, good idea about getting in touch with like a local club if you go somewhere. So if you're on holiday in the lakes or something, getting in touch with a running club, because they'll obviously be welcoming, wouldn't they, to somebody coming. So that sort of works into his next question, which was, is there a fell running club list? So
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know is a simple answer, but what I would suggest is maybe just joining. Well, there's the Welsh Fell Running Association. I know the English one as well. It's only a tenner for the Welsh one. You get yourself a nice little calendar of all the events, and then you can see which organisers put on which events, and their emails there, the Facebook page, Instagram pages there, mobile numbers. So you'd soon be able to work out which club would be closest to you, or maybe yeah, I know a lot of people are members of fell running clubs, and they're maybe hundreds of miles away. But that's where predominantly they do their racing, and that's fine, you know. There's a lot of athletics clubs, isn't there, especially in the south of England and up into the Midlands, and then obviously you get into the Peak District and Yorkshire, coming to Wales, and you get different clubs usually, but they're not all predominantly fell running clubs, are they? They've got road runners as well as fell running and mountain running, ultra running. But
So that's good advice. And then to get in touch with the regulating body and get
yeah,
yourself a list off there.
yeah, I'm not sure the price of the English one, but I know you get a big pamphlet. I've seen it's quite Fell Runner Association or something. That would definitely have the information in there. Yeah.
Definitely have it all in there. He's also asked best advice for running hills. Touched on this already, haven't we?
Yeah. Again, practice, practice,
Video.
practice, and fitness, consistency. I'm not the best at going uphill, but just practicing.
Not necessarily that. Not necessarily a fact that if you live in the hills, you will be a good hill runner. Case in point, there's a guy who I've just started coaching, and he's I looked at his Strava to have a look at what training he'd been doing. He lives in a little village near Bala, not far from Lake Bala, North Wales. So I don't know how far away that is from you, Bala.
Yeah, 20 minutes up the road. Is it? Which side is it? Llanuwchllyn, is it? Or
let me have a look.
trying
Where is it?
to think. Llanuwchllyn is one side of the lake, and
He
Bala.
lives by a lake and he works in the hotel. I'm giving away all of his personal details now.
Yeah, GPDR.
Let's see where he lives. Let's have a look.
Hey, you're coaching someone local, to me.
Yeah, stepping on your territory. Right. The lake is right. How do you pronounce that? Llanwydyn.
Llanwydden.
Llanwydyn. Is that right? Spelled Llanwddyn. Lake Vern. Is it
Yeah,
Lake Vern?
Lake Vern, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, I was looking at his he wanted a bit of structure in his training. And I'd look at his Strava, see what I've been doing, and he's like got amazing consistency, like doing over 50 miles a week, nearly 60 miles a week. All of his runs are all got loads of elevation on them. So he's got, every week he's kicking out, 8 or 9,000 feet of while he's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 miles a week. So my first question to him was, why do you want coaching?
Yeah.
You seem to have consistency down. You're doing lots of climbing for the race. The race he's doing. He's signed up for Penlyn in November. So he's doing all the hill work, but he was saying he just wants some structure and some workout. So I gave him a hill sprints, hill repeats workout to do. And he'd never done one before, so he'd been running for quite a few years. Started in lockdown, so he's probably been running for 3 or 4 years, and he's never done a hill workout before. And he was cursing me at the same time as sort of thanking me for making him do it. And this is a thing that you can live in the mountains, run in the mountains, but sometimes it takes a bit of a push to get yourself out of your comfort zone and get you to try something to push yourself into a new zone. It's quite easy to find your comfort level with the pace that you use for a hill, but when someone tells you to go, all out on a RPE level of 9 to 10, like all out sprints, you find out a bit about yourself, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, running the hills, you got a combination of the two. You've got to be fit. So your hill repeats, I don't know, 3 minutes times six or whatever it may be, or 10 times 1 minute. Pyramids, Kenyan hills, they're all gonna get you fit. But then you want to offset it with some strength work as well. So don't if it's mountain running, and it's same with ultra running, isn't it? Get a pack on, get all your kit in there, everything you need, big rucksack, and your wife's and your kids' stuff in there, and go hiking. Hiking can really strengthen those leg muscles. I always find I'm really strong, say after maybe done a Scottish winter. I've done a lot of winter stuff, and you've got the axes and ropes and all sorts of stuff on your back. So yeah, even for fell running, just getting that strength as well and fitness. Combine the two, mix it up, and consistency. And again, knowing the route, knowing your race. Is it a time to sit back and measure my pace? Is it so steep that I'm better off walking here and taking a gel rather than absolutely going balls out and being no good to anybody once you reach the summit? So it's just about thinking, I think, really, when it comes to racing, where to push and where to relax. But the more we do something, the better we get at it, and get some sessions done. Yeah.
So his other question was, what advice would you give to a flatlander who wants to do the Bob Graham?
Bob Graham round. Yeah, that's a great challenge, isn't it? Yeah, I'm too scared to do it. Yeah, I've got a few mates that have done the Bob
Andy
Graham.
did it with COVID.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, again, Andy, we spoke about him just now, didn't we? Flatlander. I think the key for Bob Graham is getting out on the route.
Ricky.
So your weekends up there, holidays up there, recce in it. I mean, again, we're coming into ultra running, aren't we? Looking after yourself, knowing your kit, knowing when to eat, when not to eat, what foods are good for you. Yeah, but again, fitness, and if you live in a flatland, what have you got? I've even heard of people in multi-story car parks. It's 5-6 floors, and they're up and down the stairs, up and down. Just to try and build that strength. You're not going to replicate going up Scarfell, but it's the best you can do. I suppose it's making the best of the circumstances you've got in front of you. There's no point crying like a baby. I can't get to the Lake District every week. Well, how can I prepare myself the best? Well, I can eat nutritious food. I can get that on point. I can make sure I'm getting my sleep. All those things you can put. What can I put in my favor? If you're serious about one of those projects, and you have to be, don't you? Because you're just going to come undone. And then get right. I can't travel to the Lake District, but I can travel an hour up the road, and there's some 400-meter peaks. Well, not as high, but it's the best with the circumstances that I've got. And there are plenty of people as well that have done it that live in the southeast of England and have trained hard, and they've gone and done a Bob Graham. I don't know what his plans are, but
future plans.
Yeah, and get a good team around you. There's lots of people that want to help out. I think it was Dark Peak, was it?
Yeah,
Andy did, and
they all went up together. Yeah,
they're renowned for. They're like a well-oiled machine. They know the route and the timings, and so piggyback on somebody that knows the route and will get up there, help someone else, and then they can return the favor for you. It's
always good to get the knowledge of somebody, of an obsessive, because there's plenty of people that are obsessed with the
and again, that's steeped in history, isn't it? The Bob Graham round. Lovely route. I've done the route. I've done all of the route multiple times, but I've never started at Keswick and finished at Keswick. But it's a mental thing with me, I think. It's a
Yeah,
mental,
you could do
yeah.
it. I know you could do it. On the subject of Bob Graham, I've got a question from Tom Evans. Is it okay for me to refer to the Bob Graham round as an FKT, or should it be respected as a round?
Well, you can call it what you like, really, I would say. Uh,
That wasn't,
it's around, isn't it? It's got to be
yeah.
around, surely.
Obviously, that wasn't Tom Evans, really. But
I
I'd
think
throw that in.
he's completed it, hasn't he? He's gonna
Well,
take the record.
according to his post in January, September was the month that he picked for smashing the Bob Graham FKT, much to
Yeah,
the bemusement or to the annoyance of lots of people on his comments, saying
yeah,
KT question mark Bob Graham round attempt inverted commas.
yeah. That's it.
He gave me a bit of abuse for reposting Jack's.
We live on abuse, don't we? We thrive on abuse. We're always
He
abusing
needs
each
to get a
other.
sense of humour, basically.
Yeah. It,
Um, last question from
yep.
ones that were sent in. So I'm assuming you know who this is from. Question from Ian Beale.
I know this. Yeah. Yeah.
I was running a local fell race and I was pushing hard to the summit, trying to keep up with a friend. And I felt like I had nothing left and I had to lay down and cry in the marshal's arms. What do you recommend to push through this so it doesn't happen again?
Oh, I'd give up, retire. I think that's just like comment against me. That is that yeah, I tried to follow Ian Beale, our friend Ian Beale.
Is he actually called Ian Beale? Not EastEnders Ian Beale.
He's known as Ian Beale, but I think he's Wayne. Is it? He might be
Oh,
called Wayne.
do you call him Ian Beale? Ian Beale.
Have you seen a meme? Or is it a meme or a meme where you've got Ian?
Mean, yes, of
Yeah,
him crying.
he's got nothing left. So it comes from there, really. I tried to keep with a lad going up a local bowl race here in Wales, and yeah, I kept with him to the top, but then I had nothing left.
Did you have to cry in a marshal's arm?
No, no, I wasn't that bad. I just turned around and it was a bit of a recovery rundown. So I went against all my advice I've just given out. So I didn't measure my pace, redlined all the way to the top. And I think I took a gel just before the top as well. And that was it. Turned around and my legs were like jelly, jogged in. But I think we're having a rematch this year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
on the same race.
yeah. So we'll have to see how we get on. Yeah.
Right. That'll be
At the Meirioneth Winter Series. So Robellfawr is a little mountain, probably a couple of miles north of Dolgellau. Uh, brilliant 10K, brilliant little fell race. It's gone up this year though, so it's £7 this year. So,
£7 flipping out.
yeah.
Cost of living crisis.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was thinking a lot of the fell races, some of them have just not been on this year because of lack of numbers, which is sad really. But then you've got events like UTS, huge events and
Mm.
selling out. And
But why is that then? Because you'd think that like local cheap fell races would be just on the card still for everybody if it's
I
if it's a case of cost of living type stuff.
don't know. Is it the Prestige? Is it the UTMB thing with UTS? I mean, I'm not knocking it at all because it's a great event, but it's odd that like the Arenig race, which is near Bala,
Mm.
Arenig Vawr, that was cancelled because there was only about 3 or 4 had entered. Whether traditionally fell runners enter on the day, they go
Mm.
down with their £5 note, enter on the day,
Mm.
and race organisers need more. They're having to outlay costs, aren't they, for the portaloos, the road closures, whatever it may be.
Mm.
If they haven't got a month's prior to it, so many bookings, maybe they can't afford to risk such
Mm,
a loss. Maybe it's that.
mm,
Uh, you know, maybe we're not traditionally booking online, although I tend to do that now. But yeah, it's interesting. You would think the cheaper option would be full,
mm,
um, but then again, you know, UTS, UTMB,
mm,
all the glitz and glamour that goes with it. Maybe that's what people want, or maybe they're not aware of the smaller races. I don't know.
mm,
I don't know.
Maybe it's your job to highlight that.
Yeah,
People
definitely. Yeah,
people fell running again in Wales.
yeah.
What's your favourite race to do then? So if there's someone who's coming wanted to, if they lived, local to you in North Wales, what race would you send them to first, and which race would you send them to sort of as the best race that
Mm.
they could do around there?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's loads of races. I think if you was into North Wales, starting in April every year for a few months, there's a Joe Barrett Brown's like summer series. So the majority of those races are then 5K, 10K maximum, I think, but some are 2 miles. So they're really well supported this year, and they're cheap as chips. So if people wanted to get involved in something not so overwhelming, then that'd be a good start. But yeah, take your pick. It depends if some of the classics like the Welsh 1000s, what a route that is, and that's steeped in history. Again, you look at navigation issues, challenging, and the way I've trained for that in the past is sort of like an ultra running pace, if you like. You've got 3 big climbs. Starts on the coast in Abergwyn, Gregin, North Wales coast, over the Carneddau, the Glyderau, and then finishes on the top of Snowdon. Absolute classic
Mm,
race. Yeah, I mean, people getting into it, that would that would be a massive race. But there's lots of short fell races out there. It's just a matter of just getting online and having a look. Don't know what my favourite one is. Probably Ras Am Olwyn. It's just above Blaen y Festiniog. 9 miles, and it's got a bit of everything really. Um, that's probably one of my favourite ones. And of course, Cada, which is on my doorstep.
mm,
So yeah, Ben Nevis fell race is a good one as well. You should try that one, Sam. You'd enjoy it.
mm. What's the distance?
I think it works out about 10 miles now with the extra, just over, or maybe 11.
Mm. I think I might have to, once I've got the spine out of the way in January, I think I'm gonna have to go back to shorter stuff for my knee because I can sustain sort of a reasonable amount of training without aggravating my knee. But
Yeah,
like training for long races now, just like trying to put miles in my legs, it's just my knees not too happy about it. So I think
yeah,
I'm gonna be thinking of some options for the summer, some shorter races. I'll probably go back to specialising in 50Ks again as my maximum distance.
yeah. That's it.
Get
Yeah,
my speed back, trying to lose some weight.
we're all trying to do that, aren't we?
Constant
Yeah,
battle. I mean, this doesn't help drinking cider on a Wednesday night,
yeah, exactly.
but there you go.
That makes your belly go wider, apparently.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, but yeah, I love the fells, but I love all types of running. I was at a family meal. Oh, was it last Saturday? And there was a lad there. I didn't know he was a friend of the family. And they said, "Oh, Ben's a runner. Ben's a runner." Gosh, chat to him, and he's like, comes over. I've just started running. I've done a 10K, and yeah, great stuff. He said, "What do you do? What's your running? Do you do half marathons? Do you do 10Ks?" And I was like, "Well, I've run in the mountains, but." What's your favorite? What's your favorite? And I think at the end of the day, I just love running.
Mm,
So, I don't like to categorize myself,
mm,
although I guess predominantly that's what I do. I love the mountains, my background from climbing, mountaineering. But I'm as happy challenging myself at the park run, trying to get that 5K down or some ultras. Yeah, I've been known to do the odd ultra. And
mm,
quietly enjoy it, but my last one was the Ultra Wales. So yeah, it was good. It was good. I just had trouble with sickness, which I don't normally get sick on. I'm normally Mr. Piggy eating gels after gels, but I think looking back at it, I was dehydrated. Um, yeah,
There's always some reason, isn't there, when you look
yeah,
back?
you think you've got your nutrition nailed, don't you? Right, I've got the brand, I've got I've got it nailed, and it works for a couple of races, and then the third race
Mm.
it doesn't work, and you're starting again. But there's so many variables, isn't there? That's the thing.
It's all about problem solving, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So
What's 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 going on with you then these days, race wise? What have you got booked in? Anything?
yeah, good question. I going back to basics, going back to basics for the winter. So I'm even looking at doing a 10K road race
Right.
in December, possibly.
Mm.
Thinking about it. I'll definitely do the. I've got the Made Winter fell running series, so that's one in November, January, and then late March. That's great. But yeah, going to really focus on perhaps just getting some sessions done on a Tuesday, some 400s, 600s, and 1K reps.
On the track.
Well, we haven't got a track here, but
Yeah.
on a flat, definitely. And because we're a bit of a retirement area, got a couple of guys that have retired here that are from the southeast, from Kent, and they're really up to speed on their their coaching on speed work.
Mm.
They're 1,500 meter track runners, and
Interesting.
yeah, let's get back to basics. Let's get that fitness up there. Let's get and I'm sure through the winter, I've never really focused on it, but I think by focusing on that, I'll be interested next,
Mm.
through next year, see if that really improves onto the fell. Because, like I said before, you see some good marathon runners, and all of a sudden you think they've got no right to be flying past me on the fell, and they've never sort of done it, but they have because they're simply fitter. Okay, we're all different physiologically, aren't we? Some people are better than others, but yeah, lad in Blind Festinian, Russell Bentley, you must have heard of him.
Mm.
He's I think he's got the FKT on the Paddy Buckley round in winter. um, predominantly a track runner, marathon runner.
Yeah.
He's moved down to Wales and he's got started running in the hills. And yeah, he's
Lovely.
got natural ability, of course, but he's blitzing. And yeah, it's down to fitness, isn't it? So that's a plan for this year coming towards the end. I've got
Get fit and dominate.
we'll see, it might not work. I might be back on the cider and two meat pies by end of October. But yeah, I've got a half trail marathon in Coed So Coed is just up the road.
The
And
Bears aren't it?
that's where the bears are. You've got to be very careful as you're running through the forestry. But yeah, no, it's an amazing complex, and a lot of people will be aware of Run Coed
Mm.
some of the events put on there, and some of them had the trail marathon, Salomon Golden Series. So
Golden.
really spoiled where we are. So look forward to doing that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe that'll be the key to some better running. But you've got to experiment, haven't you? Got to experiment.
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Right. Well, I'm interviewing Damo on Friday. So if anyone's got any questions for him, I'm going to grill him about Tour de Jean and what his opinion is of all the UTMB stuff with all the hoo-ha about Dacia cars sponsoring it and everything, and what his stance on that is and everything. And then I'm off to try and run a bit of the 13 valleys, that new race that's happening next weekend. I was supposed to be doing all 13 valleys, but I've had to drop down to 5 valleys now. my knee. I could, I probably would have got through it, but I can't jeopardize putting myself back so close to the
Yeah,
spine race, even though, yeah, it feels like summer's only just finished, but January will be rolling around soon enough. So I need to keep my knee within. If I can do so the race I'm doing this weekend is only 55k. So in theory, it'll just be a long run, and that I'll just try and enjoy the Lake District views,
Yeah,
and make sure that I'm not injured and have anything to recover from, because it took me 2 months to recover from doing Spine Challenger North.
yeah, yeah.
It definitely took me over 8 weeks to get back from that. So
So
focus focus is that.
55k, is it on Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, so I'm going up Friday night and sleeping in the van.
I think the forecast is good as well, isn't it? It's dry.
Yeah, it's supposed to be dry all weekend, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
And
then we'll see.
I've got a question for you. Have you got your 4 mil drop ultra shoes?
Can you believe it, eh?
with
All
an with
these,
an
all these years, I um, worn Outras for a long time. And then the trouble with my knee, my orthopedic specialist, she asked me what shoes I run in. I was like, I've been running in zero drop shoes for a few years. And she was like, maybe it's time for you to try some shoes with drop, which I was gutted about, but quite happily moved on in to try some other shoes, some Sauconys and everything. And enjoyed having a bit of drop on my shoes. And then I thought I'd never ever wear Outras ever again. And then lo and behold, they're just releasing a shoe with drop now, apparently.
yeah. I haven't seen it. Is it like a lone peak or is it a totally different?
Well, the first, I think it's a road shoe. Can't
Oh,
remember what
okay.
it's called. Can't
Okay.
remember what it's called
Yeah.
now. I think it's called Forward Project or something like that. Get
Yeah.
that wrong. Um, but then I looked at there was a comment on someone had posted about it, and I commented on there. But someone else had commented that they thought that some outer shoes in the past have had drop and they've not actually declared it. That he
Okay.
someone who reviews shoes, and he'd actually reckoned that he'd measured them with some vernier calipers. He was convinced that there was some models of Outras, like historically, that have had like 4 or 6 mil of drop anyway, and
Oh,
they just
wow, that
just never
much.
said anything about it.
Yeah. You could always get those £400 Adidas Evo Pro ones or whatever that the lady that won the Berlin Marathon with.
They knew, are they? They know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're only guaranteed for a
One race.
marathon and a warm up. That's it.
Really?
£400. Yeah.
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 Well,
You know.
if it gets you a PB, if it gets you a world record,
Yeah. So
worth every penny, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah. 2 minutes 11 off the women's world record. That's quite staggering, isn't it?
Not to be sniffed at, is it?
Yeah. Here I am. I'm talking about road marathons. So there
Yeah.
we go. The lover of all things running.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on and sharing your vast knowledge of foul running, and look forward to seeing you not crying in the arms of a marshal soon.
Well, I'm usually crying in the arms of someone, but it's not Marshall. So there we are. Thanks for having me on, Sam.
Cheers, mate.
See you later.
Bye.